Riku and his band of eager Gunpla builders prepare for their very first Force battle, which, just like the previous seasons of Gundam Build Fighters, is downright epic. If you're a Gundam fan and you're not watching this anime series, what's wrong with you? This episode was a perfect encapsulation of what makes the Gundam Build spin-off series so incredibly fun to watch. It's tailor-made for Gundam fans. Not to mention it always gives us a taste of something new, and it also manages to parody some of the craziest moments from the entire franchise, all while perfectly telling a really good story. And this episode right here was satisfying on all fronts, as Riku and his friends have officially formed their very own Gunpla Force, which consists of Riku, Yuki, Sarah, Momo, not to mention the brand new ninja girl Ayame, as well as Koichi, who was introduced in the last episode, who also has a really awesome codename, KO1, which is a really great pun on his name, the way that you spell it, K-O, Ichi, there you go, KO1. And before I go any further into this review, let me just go ahead and do a redaction for the last review. The last episode of Gundam Build Divers I was very harsh on, to the point where I almost considered it maybe the worst episode of the entire franchise. After hearing some of your comments and watching the episode again with a friend, it actually was not as bad as I made it out to be. In fact, it was actually a really great introduction to the character of Koichi. I was just a little upset that we were 6 episodes into the series and we weren't getting some of the crazy bombastic action that we were from the previous 2 seasons. But again, like I said, upon viewing it, it was actually a great introduction to his character, and I can totally understand why a lot of viewers actually identified with him and the things that he went through, with the fact that he was sort of abandoned by his friends who used to play Gunpla battle with him. So if I could go back and give that a new score, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Another solid addition to the series, but let's talk about this one right here. So this episode is all about Riku and his Gundam Force getting ready to go into their very first Force battle, which is sort of like a big team scenario. You have 5-on-5, they go up against each other, they have objective-based missions, or they just have all-out brawls. This episode is an all-out brawl, and it's basically an excuse to show off all of the brand new Gunpla, which I'm totally okay with because everybody has upgraded their Gunpla with all types of new features, and there are a lot of great standouts in this episode. First, though, at the very beginning, we do get to see that Sarah, of course, has no Gunpla. She can't get involved in the battles, and they never seem to question why, but this is obviously going to be a part of a much bigger story arc where I'm assuming Sarah herself is stuck in the Gundam Battle Nexus, or as an AI that has gained sentience in that world. It's still a mystery, and I don't even know if the creators of the series know what they're going to do with it quite yet, but they decide to forget about that because they see Ayame, the ninja girl, and they decide to make her a part of the team, which she happily decides to join. And what's really great about her is that she uses an SD Gundam. Now, I love Gundam. It's one of my favorite anime franchises of all time. It's the very first anime I started collecting on DVD and Blu-ray. I'm very proud of my collection, but there's one thing that I've never kept in my collection, and that's always been SD Gundam related stuff, whether it be SD Gundam Force or any of the number of ridiculous cartoony spin-offs. I've just never really gelled with it. But Gundam Build has allowed me to like SD Gundam. Maybe it's just because of the crazy scenarios. Maybe it's because everything is just over the top in general and they do seem to fit in this world where you build Gundam models. That's where they actually are appropriate. But man, the Gundam Build series always makes them cool, and Ayame's is certainly no exception, as it is known as the RX-0 Maru. And essentially, it's a ninja Gundam. And it seems to have a couple of different transformations the very first time that we see it. It has a completely different look to itself, and then later on in the episode, it has a completely brand new mode where it actually is able to create clones, a la like every other stereotypical anime ninja. And it's just all sorts of awesome. Ayame herself definitely seems like she's going to be in the big 3 of the team. I only say that because the episode ends with what I consider to be the 3 big players of the team, which currently consists of Ayame, Riku, of course, and Koichi. But it's only because of just how much experience they actually have, how much they actually love Gundam. You can tell there's just a little bit more to these 3 right here, but not to be outdone. at all. One of the biggest surprises about this episode had to be Momo and her specially designed Momo Kapul. She's been using the Kapul since the beginning of the series, and I guess she likes it so much that she doesn't want to change, but she does want to upgrade it a little bit, and she basically turns it into this big, cute, adorable cartoon penguin. One of my favorite features about the Momo Kapul, without a doubt, though, is that it's like a couple of different mobile suits in one. Housed within the actual mobile suit is a small Haro-like mobile suit, which Momo can also control remotely, and even does so in this episode to great effect. I especially love Koichi's Gunpla. I just love anything related to iron-blooded orphans, and to see even just a little bit of that representation in the show makes me really happy. But he's using a combination of a mobile suit that was originally seen in Zeta Gundam, known as the Galbaldi, and he's combined it with the Gujin Remake from Iron-Blooded Orphans. And he's taken a lot of the aesthetic from both of these mobile suits, especially the color scheme from the Gujin Remake, as well as taking its massive hammer and clamps, which also get a lot of great uses in this episode right here. And like I said, anything Iron-Blooded Orphans related is awesome, and Koichi seems like he's one hell of a pilot, which is really awesome. That's the best thing about his character, because he came across as something of a rookie, but considering his history while playing the old physical GPD version, it makes sense that he would be able to actually handle this stuff right here. And then even on top of that, even Riku has been able to upgrade his Gunpla a little bit. It has a lot of new abilities. I believe it's known now as the 00 Gundam Diver Ace, and it even has a big final attack where he decides to get all Zoro on its opponents. He takes down this Zaku by like cutting it with 2 swords, and it leaves like a big like glowing A throughout its entire body. It's anime, it's ridiculous, it's over the top, and I absolutely love it. Little by little, you can see that Riku is getting to be a much more competent builder, and I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of upgrades to his 00 Diver. Even freaking Yuki got a brand new attack in this episode, and he always manages to surprise me with a cool move that he comes up with, because he always has like a new gun. This time he has this big fusion beam technique, where he has these 2 seemingly different type of beam weapons come together on one giant freaking gun, which then combine together and converge into a massive beam that looks like something out of freaking Ghostbusters just on crack, and it manages to not only destroy a Zaku, but to go cleanly through its body, still flying into the friggin' heavens. It's awesome. Yuki is definitely one of the most fun characters from this entire series. This is the episode where the characters really start to become interesting, and what I really love is that a lot of their personality can actually be seen in their Gunpla. You can learn a lot about them just by looking at how they function and what they actually do. And I really love that, because that's the whole point of this series, is that these Gunpla are supposed to be a reflection of these people and their ideals, their thoughts, their feelings. And it really comes to play in this episode right here. But ultimately, it's real simple. Basically, they're having a force battle with this other group of soldiers who are actually training currently with Rommel, the character we saw from the prologue and from the very first episode, the man who's basically a weasel. And his introduction is funny to the entire team because, one, all the girls think he's adorable and just start petting him, which is kind of creepy and weird all at the same time. But also he has a lot of confidence in his team. His whole philosophy behind this is that you have to reward rookies with some sort of victory. So in a way, he feels like he's throwing his team a bone here. He's giving them some rookies to just absolutely slaughter. But by the end of the battle, he realizes, oh crap, I made a big mistake here. This team is actually making me look very foolish. And in front of all of these important people, pretty much all the big characters who've appeared in the series are in this one. Not only do we get to see the return of the champ, but we also get to see the return, of course, of Tiger Wolf, Shariar, and Maggie. And I think aside from the Gunpla, the most memorable thing about this episode has to be Maggie's ass. I mean, how are you not supposed to pay attention to this dude's butt when they're constantly throwing it into your face every single time he's on screen? And they put so much detail into it that it's honestly freaking hilarious. I love it. So, what's the rundown on this episode of Gundam Build Divers? A great return to form, which is carrying a lot of the spirit of the previous 2 seasons and looking really good while it does it. The best thing about this episode is finally seeing Riku and his team come together and just absolutely slaughter some opponents. And the fact that they're going up against a team which has been trained by Rommel shows how far they've actually come in the game. I also really do like Rommel's team as well. I love the fact that they have this like whole Zeon thing going going for them. That's always been sort of Rommel's thing, but I do like that they all seem to be using variants of the Zaku with multiple body parts and things switched out from the arms and the legs. Some of them even have a completely unique look, and I always love seeing Zaku's in battle. They have such a simple but such an awesome and iconic design, which to me, honestly, is just as iconic as the actual Gundams themselves. But really, it's Riku's team that steals the show in this one. All of their Gunpla is just so awesome. And you know what? I can't believe I'm saying it, but my favorite one has got to be the Momo Kapul. I didn't expect it to be this fun, but I love the design of it. I love the unique attack of the Haro robot coming out. When she was attacking that one Zeon soldier, and she tripped over, almost as looking like she was being foolish, but then suddenly the Haro popped out and she started scratching at it like a wild cat. Just, that scene was so perfect. And again, a reflection of her character. She's a cat. She loves to scratch stuff. It's just awesome. I really love it. Koichi was also great in this episode. Way more likable than he was in the first one, but now he has friends again who are obsessed with Gunpla. He's got a steady job at the store with his sister, and you'd think he'd love that considering how much he just loves this stuff so much. You can tell that his passion has been refueled thanks to Riku and his friends, and it comes through a lot in his actions, being able to help them, and also just his actual Gunpla as well. It's also unique that we get to learn that they get a lot of these spare parts from this massive machine where you can use battle points you use in Gundam Battle Nexus to exchange for all sorts of cool parts and items. And essentially, it's like a giant 3D printer that just prints out like all of the different Gundam parts that you still have to snip out and put together and everything. It's a really cool system, and I'm honestly surprised there isn't something like it in Japan. Maybe there already is. Maybe that is the future of Gunpla right there. I think that's really great. Ayame was also especially fun in this episode. The introduction of her SD Gundam was very appreciated. It wasn't very mysterious as you see it in the intro, but to finally see it in action is awesome. It's pretty much everything you would expect from a ninja, though, in an anime series. I mean, it makes clones, it throws shuriken, it has camouflage. It is every stereotypical thing about a ninja, and yet I still love it. I just love everything related to ninjas. That's why I'm such a big fan of the Naruto series. And for people who like that, they're definitely going to appreciate the RX Zero Maru. And I can't wait to see if it actually has something to do with that weird hawk robot thing that we saw episodes ago. Like if it can transform into that, if that's some sort of like special ability where it can summon it or use a weapon, which is a giant robotic bird. I'm not really sure what the deal is with that, but still, I'm very excited to see what it's going to be. But yeah, this episode right here was a really great moment for Riku and his team. Their very first victory as a team, their very first battle as a team, and it was a great showing. They absolutely dominated everyone, and you can see that they're having to have a big effect on the GBN world. People are starting to pay attention to them. Some of the most important people in the game, hell, the highest ranked person is paying a lot of attention to them for a reason. They have a lot of potential. Basically, the Gundam Build Divers anime series officially starts now. This is when things are going to get great, and I cannot wait to see where it's going to be headed. This was a super fun episode that hardcore fans of the series are going to love, and if I only had one complaint about this episode, which has nothing to do with the score or anything really bad about the episode, I didn't see Patrick in this one. Maybe I missed him. He's popped up in every other episode so far. If you guys saw where Patrick Kolasar was, tell me in the comments section below. I want to know where that redheaded guy is. He's been sort of the running gag of the entire series, just sort of randomly popping up in scenes, sometimes in the background, sometimes just right up in your face, but I didn't see him in this one. Maybe I was just so mesmerized by all of the mecha action. So that's why this episode's getting a 5 out of 5. I loved this one. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. However, if any of you guys did watch this episode of Gundam Build Divers, tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below and what you hope to see from the rest of Gundam Build Divers. If you guys have any questions for me or any topics you want to talk about in the comment section, I'd love to talk with you guys about this episode because I really love this one right here, and I see this one having a lot of potential when compared to the previous seasons for how different it is and how much it's sort of changing up the formula. Let's just get excited, guys. Things are about to get crazy from here. There it is. That's my review. I'd love for you guys to subscribe to the channel so you can see all the other anime reviews I do. I do a ton of them. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure that you have the little notification button right there with the little bell. That'll let you know when all my new videos are coming out. Make sure to like the videos, share them with your friends. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay down, baby.